Okay.
Hello and welcome to the Addicts Anonymous podcast. I'm your host, Jim R. Today we're going to be interviewing Phelis, and he actually goes by Champ. So how you doing today, Champ?
How you doing, man? I'm blessed and highly favored. Can't complain, bro. Can't
That's
complain.
great to hear, my friend. So let's dive right in. Tell us a little bit about yourself growing up.
Okay. Well, I'm from Franklinton, Louisiana, smaller town, southeast Louisiana. Across the lake from New Orleans. For those of you that don't know about Franklinton as well, but as a childhood, I had a pretty okay childhood, man. Coming up, my mom, she raised me in the church. I was actually a church musician ever since the age of maybe 5. I started playing drums, and from there I went to the keyboard or whatnot. And but for the most part of my childhood, man, it was pretty interesting, man. I really can't complain about my childhood. It was okay. I can't say that. I come from a family of good morals, good integrity, stuff like
Gotcha.
that. Yeah.
You said it was interesting. What was interesting about it?
Well, because of the fact that my mother also sings, and she's also a musician. She had an opportunity to be able to send me to like music conventions when I was young. So that was the first time I've ever had an opportunity to travel. And my mom not be a chaperone with me. You know what I'm saying? And it was like music conventions in the church, though. You know what I'm saying? My background, my denomination is Church of God in Christ. So we would have this thing in Memphis, Tennessee back in the day. It was called the International Convocation. And they would also have like a youth Congress meetings, but they would hold them in different cities. And I had an opportunity to catch one or two of them. So that's what I
That's
mean.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what were you like when you were young as far as like socializing and friends in school? What were you like?
Man, to be honest with you, now looking back now, knowing what I know now, man, I was somewhat of an attention seeker. I was a flamboyant kid. You know, I used to always I used to always do extra things like look at me. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
don't know. It was yeah. Looking back now, yeah, I could really say that I was, man. Unfortunately, but for the most part, man, I was a I was a bit of a hot head at times. You know what I'm saying? Hard headed, rebellious type. Wanted to do what I want when I want it, whenever. That type of deal. So yeah, I kind of stayed in trouble a lot too with my
You got in
family.
trouble a lot. Yeah, I know that feeling. Same way.
Mhm.
So going up a little older, what kind of life did you have in high school? I guess maybe my first question should be, when was the first time you were introduced to any type of drugs or alcohol or whatever your addiction is?
Now that, yeah, okay. So let me just I'm gonna go ahead and just plug you all the way in on that level.
I want to hear
Um,
everything. I want to hear all the
yeah, I'm finna
down
give
and
it to
dirty
you.
details.
I'm finna give it to you raw, man. I'm gonna give it to you raw. Man, I was about 13 years old when I first experienced drugs. Actually, the age 13 was a big year for me because, and I don't mean that in a good way. I mean all around. That was the year that I actually, you know, I would say, well, here they call it jumping off the porch. And if you don't know what jumping off the porch means, when I was first really introduced to the streets, you know what I'm saying? Staying out late, hanging with the wrong crowd type deal, you know what I'm saying? Just doing whatever, not caring no more. I was 13 years old when I first did that. And when I got into the streets at 13, I picked up marijuana. I picked up a marijuana habit, and I used to run with this cat that was in school with me. At the time I was in junior high school, and me and him used to run around. He stayed like 3 houses down from me, and he was already doing the most. You know what I'm saying? So I teamed up with him, and we kind of just became like a little tag team deal. And whatever he did, I did. Whatever I did, he did. Just following, man, just following whatever I could get my hands into. You know what I'm saying? Looking for acceptance in places that it doesn't offer the right acceptance, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I was about 13, man. And then maybe 2 years later, about around the time I turned like 15, that's when I was introduced to cocaine. All right. Now, um, I would, you know, it started out small as always, you know what I'm saying? Maybe a weekend time thing, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I would toot here, toot there, you know what I'm saying? Just, you know, just experiencing it, trying to figure. And at the time, I really didn't care for it, man. I was just doing it because my friends was doing it. You know, I didn't really have a thing for that, even though I had them became addicted to the weed pretty strongly. By that time, you know, I felt like I needed to smoke a blunt every day, man, just to get moving around and whatnot. And 15, when I got into cocaine, man, that's when I started getting into real trouble. You know what I'm saying? And man, everything just spiraled downhill from there. You
What
know,
kind
just
of
spiraled.
trouble?
Well, I started selling drugs. You know, I started out selling little marijuana bags, little $5 blunt bags and $10 dime bags. You know, trying to do the little 3 for 25 deals back then. You know, back then they had a lot of trash weed on the street, so it came in bulks. You know, so it was easy to kind of make a few dollars here and there with that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I started having fights at the school. I didn't graduate from high school because I got kicked out in the ninth grade. Before I got kicked out in the ninth grade, I repeated it twice, you know. And I have a younger sister, man, and I knew it was time for me to leave school when my sister caught up with me in grades. You know what I'm saying? Well, now we in the same grade. You know what I'm saying? She was 2 grades behind me, you know.
Did
And
the drugs have anything to do with that? Were you doing
oh
drugs during
yeah,
school?
yeah. Well, it was a little bit of yeah, it was the drugs, man. The drugs, because when I started, even with the marijuana, when I started with the marijuana, man, I became discouraged about everything that I was taught to do right. You know what I'm saying? It's like everything that I was taught to do right, I wanted to do exact opposite. And it weighed heavy on me, man. It really affected my life in the worst way. Then, you know, the friends that I once had before the drugs came around, you know, I started seeing them venture off, you know, go their separate ways. You know what I'm saying? And these was real, genuine, good friends that I had, man. You know, it's like I pushed them off the cliff, man. I ran them away from me, you know. And at the time, I didn't care because they wasn't doing what I was doing, and I'm talking about my friends that I had when I was coming up in the church as a kid. You know, my childhood friends. You know, we all, you know, parted ways, man. Um, my mama, she moved us around a lot. You know, I left my hometown at a young age. I want to say I was maybe 9, 8, maybe when we left Franklinton, and then we moved to Amite, Louisiana. And from Amite, Louisiana, we moved to Slidell. And this was in a short kind of span. And once we got to Slidell, man, you know, that's when it was a no turning back deal for me, because right across the lake was New Orleans, and I started running over there a lot. And when I left my mama house, which I was 16 when I did that, you know, and I started selling heavier drugs. I got into heroin, you know, in that area, man, heroin is a big deal down there. You know, that's the thing to hustle. You know, it generates fast money real quick, but it's also a flip side to it, because it brings trouble real quick on a totally different level that you may not be ready for. I definitely wasn't, you know.
What kind of
And
trouble?
man, guns, robberies, people getting killed, people threatening to kill you, you getting robbed, getting beat up. You know what I'm saying? People seeing you as a. It all depends. You know, I never was the cat that was just big time kingpin. I won't ever tell nobody that I was that, knowing I wasn't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I did what I could, man. You know what I'm saying? When I did have a little run I had in it, man, it did okay. You know, I did see for a few dollars, man. And even with that, bro, it brought a lot of trouble. You know what I'm saying? I was
Yeah.
robbed. You know what I'm saying? I almost killed several times. You know what I'm saying? It's just, man, a close friend of mine that I thought was a friend of mine, he ended up setting me up, and I ended up in prison. And I was finna get to that part. You know, I ended up in prison at the age of I went to jail in 20 for distribution of heroin and distribution of marijuana charge. And man, I was sentenced to 15 years. The time was ran concurrent. You know what I'm saying? I ended up doing about 8 flat out of the 15. Came home, um, caught myself trying to get my life together. You know
Why
what I'm saying?
such a
But still
long
killing.
why such a long time for heroin? I mean, I
Well,
know it's a serious drug, but I thought usually like drug charges, I thought like 5, maybe 10 years at the most.
Well, in Louisiana, man, you get a school zone, it's automatic 15 years.
Oh,
Now,
wow.
the reason, and at that time, bro, you had to do at least, you had to do 65% of your time if it was a non-offense, non-violent drug offense. And I ended up losing a lot of time when I was in prison. Because I could have came home. I could have came home way 2 years earlier than what I did, but I messed it up with the good time, And when I finally decided to settle down and calm down, I eventually got out. You know what I'm saying? But that's why I ended up doing the time I did do, you know, because I had a school zone. It was a school zone, and it was the marijuana school zone that they gave me the 15 years on. If you was to see my rap sheet to show you that I got 10 years for the heroin charge, but 15 years for the marijuana. And you would think it would be vice versa because of the, you know what I'm saying, the type of drugs it is, but it wasn't. They don't play about the school zones. So
Well,
they made sure.
I mean, also one of the things that's amazing is, if I'm not mistaken, the federal government consider both of them Schedule I drugs.
That's right.
So it's like literally the same thing. It doesn't matter if you get a pound of heroin or a pound of marijuana, it's technically the same thing in their eyes.
Exactly the same thing. So yeah, and so they gonna punish you the same exact way. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, man, I ended up having to do that time. Now this is where I started transitioning for the better. Because when I went to prison, I was when I went in about 19 years old, I was suffering from a heroin addiction as well, because when I was selling the drugs, I was also using it. And I used to always love to snort it. You know what I'm saying?
Snort
And
the
man,
heroin?
Say it again.
Snort the heroin you were doing?
Yes. I used to always love to snort the little heroin that I was selling or whatnot. So when I went to jail, man, I had to kick that cold turkey. And that was a tough deal for me. You know what I'm saying? But man, I thought, I felt like at that time, I wasn't no addict. In my mind, I felt like I was under control of everything that I was doing, even though I wasn't. But in my mind was telling me that I was. So when I went to prison, I didn't see myself as this drug addict that need help. You know what I'm saying? Even though I was, but I didn't see myself as though. So I really didn't try to seek that kind of help while I was in jail, in prison. You know what I'm saying? But I ended up making changes for the better. You know what I'm saying? But not because of the drug addiction, because of who I was as a person, period. You know what I'm saying? I started realizing that I had been being a follower. I started realizing that the life I was portraying to live, that wasn't who I was. I started to kind of find myself when I was in prison, man. I read a lot of books, started really focusing on what I wanted to do when I got out, because I didn't graduate high school. So, what's the first step, So I applied for GED while I was in jail, and I got my little GED while I was in there or whatnot, and that was basically it. When I came home, I came home and tried to call myself settling down. That's when I married my first wife or whatnot.
If you don't mind me saying it, it sounds like jail actually did you some good, sobered you up. You got your GED. You said you were finally thinking about your future because you were probably sober for the first time in a while.
Exactly.
Makes you think about your future.
Yeah, it did, man, because I don't know, for some reason, man, I don't know if somebody can relate to this, but when I used to get high, I used to think that I could do things so much better when I was high.
I
know
know
what I'm saying?
I joking around, I say every addict, we all say, oh, we're different. I can do this and I can do that. I'm not like everyone else.
Right. That's our main thing that we like to say. Yeah. And man, and when I became clean and sober for a while, I realized that I do things so much better clean than I did when I was high. You know what I'm saying? So man, but yeah, the answer to piggyback on what you were saying, man, I did, man. Prison really did do me a whole lot. It did me more good than I thought it did. Put it like that, because it's later on in the story that you see that all the things that I instilled for the better, from my childhood all the way up through prison, up until where I'm at today, it all played a part to my good. You know what I'm saying? It worked in my favor, to my good. So I come home from prison in 2009, 2010, I want to say. I think it was end of 9, going on 10. Okay. And I call myself settling down or whatnot.
How old
And
were
I
you
was
at this time now?
okay, at this time I'm 29. I'm about to turn 30 in like a month. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
gotcha.
I come home, call myself settling down. I end up in this relationship with my first wife. And it turns out to be a codependency relationship, you know. And then that's when I was introduced to the pharmaceutical pills. Okay, so Lortabs, Percocets, the Somas, the Xanaxes, the little footballs they call them,
Yeah, yep,
and yeah, and the 4-line, the Xan bars, they call them handlebars down here. Yeah, I don't know
yeah.
what they call them. Yeah, so I got introduced to that world from that situation, you
Kind of
know,
funny
through
story. When I was younger, my friend gave me a Xanax for the first time. He gave me a bar or two of them. I didn't know what it was, so I took them both. And
Ooh.
all I remember is waking up the next day and I peed myself.
Yeah, yeah,
I just woke
man,
up and I'm like all by myself. And my boy tells me the next day, he's like, yeah, I couldn't wake you up, so I just left. I was like, what if I was dying?
for real. Like, come
He
on, man.
just bounced. He's like, I
Yeah,
wouldn't wake
I
up, so I
mean,
went home.
that's what and man, that's what them Xan bars do you, man. You take them and I remember one time I took some, man, and when I came to, my car was upside down in the ditch.
Oh
I
shit.
had some speakers in the car in the trunk at the time, and the speakers just going quick, boo, 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 and I'm upside down in the ditch, man. Yeah, didn't even realize how I got there. None of that, man. That's crazy. Yeah,
Unbelievable.
yeah, yeah. But I ended up getting introduced to that world, and I ended up going back to prison behind that, man, trying to keep up, I got to the point where I started out taking like a pill every day. Then it turned to 3 pills a day. Then they got to the point where I was taking like 7 to 10 pills a day, every single day, just to get up and try to go to work, do this, do that, and the other, man, them Lortabs. And me not realizing, and, and in my mind, I'm like, well, it's because I would hear people say, man, you taking them Lortab, it's just like you might well do heroin again. You know,
I
I'm
was
like,
about to
nah, I
ask,
ain't like
is
heroin, man.
Lortab a painkiller?
Yes, it's opiates. They are it's
Okay.
hydrocodones, they call them now. Them
Okay.
hydros. Yeah, yeah. And man, I was taking so many of them at a time. Doctor shopping, running around city to city, trying to get scripts, the bus, and this, that, and the other. And I ended up going back to jail for that. So
For
because
doctor
I now I'm
shopping?
on parole from the first charge, and now I'm going back on a pharmaceutical pill charge. Plus, I done violated my parole, so I got to back up some time, right? So I ended up having to go back up like 4 years. I want to say about 4 years. Was it 4 years back? 3, 4 years, something like that. I ended up having I had to back up 4 years, but I ended up doing like 2 of it in the halfway house.
That's good. At least you weren't in
Yeah,
full blown prison.
yeah, it did. And I went up for parole on that one. And the lady granted me parole. So this is when I got introduced to going to a rehab facility in Monroe. Okay. I ended up going there, man. And that's when I started for the first time, really pay attention to addiction and what addiction was and what part do I play in it and this, that, and the other, you know.
Yeah.
And man, that's when the real struggle started, man. That's when the real journey really kicked off for me, man. That's when I feel like that point in my life, that this was a transition point in my life to where it was like either this gonna make me or it's gonna break me, because things got really crazy after that, you know. Um, After I successfully completed the program. I came home. Now I'm trying to stay away from everything, you know. Um, the people that was around me, they was kind of somewhat respectable of what I was trying to do, even though they still would, I know if you go sit in your car and you sit in your car and I see your head ducking down, this, that, and the other, I know what you're doing, man. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Just because you ain't doing it my I know what you're doing, you know. And things like that used to really like mess with my mind. Like, these was triggers for me. And I didn't know what triggers was until I went to that rehab in Monroe, Louisiana. And now that I'm paying attention to the triggers, I'm not paying attention to how effective triggers can be. I'm not taking what I've learned with that serious. So I'm setting myself up basically what I'm gonna say about that, man. I would set myself up for a relapse all the time, you know. And in my mind, I'm lying to myself, telling myself, "Oh, I can handle it, man. Go, man, do what y'all gonna do, bro. It don't matter to me. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna affect me no kind of way, man. Do your thing. You know what I'm saying? And they'll do it. And they think, you know, I'm thinking about it. I'm looking, I'm thinking about it. And I try to go do something to get my mind off of it. And before you know it, 2, 3 days later, now I'm going to get me a little pack for myself now. Yeah, I done relapse now, you know, stuff like that, man. That's how it really started with me this next time, bro. Because when I relapsed on heroin this time, I relapsed strong, man. It was a strong relapse. And I started doing it in a way that I never done it before. And I started shooting heroin. And man, my life spiraled all the way down for the worst. Like I ended up homeless. Um, I was back in my hometown where my mama moved me away from when I was a kid. So everybody in this town knew my family. They knew who I was. And I didn't even care, man. And I would support my habit by stealing out the stores, grocery stores, um,
What
anything
made
I
you
could get my
decide to start shooting up?
man, I experienced man, I've always tried to impress my family. Like me and my mom didn't really have a good relationship when I ventured off when I was younger. When I told you I got in the streets when I was 13, 14, me and my mom's relationship kind of like went its separate ways. I know she had high hopes for me in one way, and I wanted to find myself in another way. And me and her wasn't as close as we had always been when I was younger as a child. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I know it actually played a major part on my life going forward because when I would go through my clean spells and I would go through this and go through that, you know, I did it and in my mind, I would always tell myself, my mama gonna be proud of me for doing this. My mama gonna be proud of me for doing that. Oh, the family gonna love to see me when I do this. And then when I don't get that reaction, when they do see me, it will crush me. You know, my feelings would be hurt and I would show it in anger and I would self-mutilate myself, man. And when I say self-mutilate, I don't mean like literally try to take my own life or nothing like that. But I just go shoot more dope than a truckloader. You know what I'm saying? I would do things like really like outrageously. What I would normally shoot like a dime bag or something, man, I go and shoot a 50. You know, this is how outrageous things was getting for me. And this is how I would react to those reactions. You know what I'm saying? And and man, that's when the dope shooting started, man. It was shortly after I had came home from that rehabilitation program that I went to in Monroe, which was around 2014, 2015.
It sounds like you're a real emotional guy and that the emotions take over
Yeah,
and you
it
you
does.
you feel feelings that you don't want to feel. So then maybe you
Exactly.
go, yeah, maybe you go out of control then.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. You're absolutely right. I am that kind of person, man. And you know, it's a bittersweet situation for me with that, you know, because sometimes I don't know how to I'm still learning how to manage feelings. You know what I'm saying? I'm still
Yeah.
learning how to dissect what I feel sometimes. You know, I know I've been told that your face tell on you every time, champ. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, I could look in your face and tell, bro, you ain't feeling this, bro. You know, you ain't, you know what I mean? So I've gotten a whole lot better with it, you know, because that's just a part of who I am. So now that I'm learning these different things about who I truly am, man, I just try to learn how to manage it and be a better me with that, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, for the most part. So, but man, I did that. I did the dope shooting thing for like maybe a year, man. And I was on the run from my parole officer. Um I and the reason I was doing what I was doing, I called myself trying to prove a point to my family. because they used to tell me things like, you embarrassing the family, you embarrassment to us. Why are you acting like this? Why are you doing that? And and I would go through these clean moments and they would still say that I was getting high, and I'm like, nah, I ain't getting high. I'm clean. Why you keep trying to, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so you want to say I'm getting high when I know I'm clean. So I'm gonna show you what getting high is. And I jump out the freaking window, bro. You know what I'm saying? Crazy stuff.
I heard a saying once that sometimes we get mad and just you do drugs at the person. That's what they call it, like kidding around, because what it means is like,
Yeah.
oh, you know what? I'm going to get you by doing so much drugs. But it's like, it doesn't get them. It doesn't make them feel any
It's
different.
not doing nothing to them. I mean,
Exactly.
but in my mind, that's what I was. That's a true saying, bro. I mean, people really feel like that. I know I have. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I would hurt them more if I just hit rock bottom, totem pole bottom, and just okay, y'all embarrassed. I'm gonna really embarrass you. You know what I'm saying? And bro, I was killing myself, man. I could have killed myself, man. I remember, man. I'll never forget this, bro. Rest in peace to Deltrick, man. That's a friend of mine, Deltrick, man. He overdosed and passed away.
Sorry to hear that.
Man, yeah, thank you, bro. I keep a lot of my friends in my prayers. I've lost a whole lot of friends to drugs. And every time I hear news like that, man, it makes me really appreciate my life even more than I did before, because I could have easily been one of those numbers, man, and God spared my life, man. I'm very grateful for that. And I never forget how grateful I am of that. And I always let my high power know how grateful of him I am because of that. You know what I'm saying? And man, I'll never forget me and him. We was in this, I don't know if you're familiar with what a click house is or whatnot.
No.
It's like an abandoned house where people break into it and they sell drugs and in one room you could buy the drugs, in another room you can go and do your drugs. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I've heard of something like this.
Yeah. Well, they call them click houses around here where we from. And me and him was in one of those. And we scored together, man. We went and hit us a nice little lick, got us a couple of dollars. So we went to the spot, got what we needed to get. And it was real storming outside that day. So we normally wouldn't do this, but we did it that day. You know what I'm saying? We went and caught one of those little rooms in there
Yep.
and, did our little business, man. And when I came to, the drugs were so strong, we both dozed off. And when I came to, he didn't. And man, it scared me to death, bro. So I had to get somebody in the other room to help me, you know what I'm saying, to get him to the hospital. You know what I'm saying? We got him out there, man. I had to throw him on the side of the wall by the emergency room door and keep it kicking to avoid asking questions or going to jail. You know what I'm saying? And fortunately that day he survived, man. But it was other times, some people wouldn't survive, man. And a lot of those people was close friends of mine, man. So
Has that ever happened where someone died around you, like you came to and someone was dead?
no, unfortunately I've never had to experience that. I'm gonna say fortunately. I don't mean unfortunately. Fortunately, I've never
Yeah,
had
I
to
was gonna
experience that.
say.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, oh, you know what? Man, I did. And man, I was my first marriage, the woman I was married to the first time, she lost her mom, and I found her mom dead.
Oh,
And she had chewed 2 fentanyl patches.
oh man.
Yeah. And for a long time I used to feel like it was something else I could have did to help her. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't nothing I could do. That was the closest thing
Exactly.
I came to that though. You know what I'm saying? That was unfortunately that was the worst thing that so if had it went another way, man, I don't know how I would have had dealt with it at that time,
Yeah.
because I didn't do well with stressful situations, man. I still struggle with that today. stressful situations, man. You know, I just thank God for the life that I do have today. God has placed people in my life, man, especially my wife. He's placed people in my life, man, to help me really see things from different aspects other than just one and be tunnel vision. You know, they help me to manage my feelings better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't. Fortunately, I don't make a lot of the same mistakes I used to make a long time ago. You know, and I'm grateful for that today. So yeah.
So going back just a little bit, how long were you homeless for? And like, where did you stay? Like, did you live in cardboard boxes? Because I've heard that story just recently from someone eating out of the dumpsters. I've heard a lot, unfortunately.
I had a,
How did homelessness affect you?
it affected me, man. For a while, I slept in the guy that I used to scope from car. He had a car parked in front of on the side of his house, and I would sleep there when I could. His old lady, she used to catch me in there and run me off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if I could get a few hours in, I was good. You know, but I slept in his car for a while. Now, like I told you, when I went through that homeless situation, I was in my hometown, so it was a lot of, and by the time my hometown being such a small town, it's like everybody know everybody, right? So and by my family being a lot of good people, you know, coming from a good breed of people, man, a lot of people, you know, they'll overlook your situation on the strength of who your people are. You know what I'm saying? And would do things in favor of them for you. You know, and that's how it was for me being back home at that time. You know, a lot of people was mad at me because they knew that I was that wasn't who I was, but you know, I had to figure that out, and if people understood that. And so yeah, I slept in the car for a while, and then after that, man, I would just walk all night. Like during the nighttime, because to me, when you're homeless, you know, it's more dangerous at night than day, you know. So I would walk all night. And as soon as I see the sun start to come up, I probably go lay in the park and go sleep somewhere on the bench or something. You know what I'm saying? And even with that, you're not getting much sleep. You know what I'm saying? For 2, 3 hours or something at the most. You know, and you back up running again. You got to keep drugs in you to keep you going. You know, and right before my homelessness came to an end, a friend of my family, man, and me and this guy actually, before all this took place, me and this guy actually had an argument, wasn't talking to each other. You know what I'm saying? Posted had jumped on each other the next time we saw each other. Matter of fact, shout out to Chris Sibley, man. I love you, bro. Man, he had a place, he had a club that he was getting renovated. And man, he found me. He found me in the hood one night. He was like, "Hey," he said, "Champ, where you staying?" I said, "Man, I'm just over the mo. I ain't doing no tripping." He said, "Man, come to my spot, man. I'm gonna set you up." So I walked over there, got over there. I mean, it wasn't much, but I had a roof over my head. I ain't had to worry about the rain. And man, every morning he would go and get me a breakfast plate from this place called the Sugar Shack that was across the street from his spot. Man, they serve a nice fire breakfast, bro. And
Yeah.
he'll give me a plate every morning, man. I wake up to a little breakfast plate. You know what I'm saying? And man, see that's God. That's God to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when that started happening, and all the people that I would see, you know, that would find me, and when they see me, bro, I see people tearing up on me. My family, they tearing up on me. They like, "Man, what's going on with you, man?" You know. And I would always tell them, "Man, I'm just going through something, man." You know. And man, I eventually, man, what I did was I woke up. I woke up on Monday morning, and it just so happened, man. It's ironic that it happened this way. I woke up on a Monday morning, and my cousin found out where I was staying at, and come to find out, my family had been riding around town looking for me all for months. They had been doing this, you know. And this
So
Monday
while
morning,
you
I
were
woke
home,
up.
so the whole time you were homeless, people were actually looking for you?
Yeah, and man, that stemmed around. It probably lasted about 9 months, almost to a year, close to a year, almost 9 months. Maybe right up under a year, man. Cause you know, I had I had jumped parole. My PO, I hadn't seen my PO, hadn't checked in, none of that since I came home from the rehab deal, you know. And I was staying with my mom when I first did that. And then when I first came home from the rehab deal, I was staying with my mom and I made a stay with her for like a month or two. And then I moved back to my hometown. And I went back down there and got into all kind of mess, you know, and that's how I ended up homeless down there. You know, I wasn't even there 2 weeks and ended up homeless down there. You know, but I went down there to destruct and be just out my mind. I went down there to relapse, and when I relapsed, it was, you know, I really relapsed. And so this whole time that I had been down there, my family had been looking for me, you know, and just what happened, man. This I woke up I never forget it. It was Monday morning, man. I got up to go use it because they had a bathroom in the back of this club that he was getting renovated. And he told me, you can always go back there, you know, get yourself together, what you got to do, you know. And I was back there, take care of my little business or whatnot. And I had said to myself, man, I'm finna turn myself in. I'm gonna go knock on the police door, turn myself in tell my PO I violated. I got a drug problem, man. I just want some help. Today is the day that I change, you know. And I walk out the bathroom, and when I hear somebody on the phone, and it's my little cousin. Shout out to Oliver. I see you. I love you, man. So he he on the phone. Yeah, I know he here because I see all this stuff right here. I see he got a CD. I know these the shoes. I got them right here. I see a little book bag here. And so I'm standing in the background and I'm listening to him. I won't let him know that I'm in there. And he's getting ready to walk out the door, and I walk out. And I say, I'm right here, cuz. And he looked at me like, let me call y'all back. I found him. And man, we just hugged each other, man. He told me he loved me, you know what I'm saying? And I told him, man, I'm ready to go, bro. He said, you ready? I said, I'm ready today. You know, and man, we got my little stuff, man. And I had one bag left, bro. And I said to myself, I ain't gonna go to jail sick. And I did what I had to do, and I went to jail, man. And I ended up kicking that cold turkey in jail again.
They didn't give you anything to help?
Man, they gave me some pill called Vistaril, I want to say, something like that to the effect. I don't know. It was like a little purple pill. Huh?
No, I was gonna say, I think I've heard of that Visceral, but I thought that was for where you have like a blocker so you can't get drunk, but I could be wrong. Or maybe it's Vivitrol. I forget. So I could be wrong on that.
And I could be wrong about the name. I just remember the pill was like white with a little purple rim around it. They say they get it to you to kind of try to cope with your stomach. They don't give you nothing for relapse, not in jail, man. And but you know, that's the way I wanted to do it anyway. And man, I kicked it. I got sick. They had to rush me to the hospital, put IV, and they get me some fluids in my body. And I was in bad shape. Had the shakes real bad, cold sweats, the whole 9 yards, man. The body aches, all that, headaches, couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, the whole nine. And my parole officer, man, he didn't fortunately he didn't violate me. We have this thing in Louisiana where you know you make a little violation on your parole, they give you like a 90-day turnaround type deal. And you just have to do like 90 days in the county or something like that. Or we have parishes in Louisiana. Do 90 days in the parish and boom, they kick you back out on the street. But this deal here, I told him I wanted to be in a rehab. And I remember the rehab I went to in Monroe when a while back. Remember the first time I told you when I went to this program in Monroe, Louisiana?
Yeah.
I wanted him to send me back to that same place. And he did, man. They made it, they pulled some strings and found the way to get me back up there. And this time around, this place was called Blue Walters. And man, if you pay attention, Blue Walters can really help you. And this time around, man, I went through that program like my life depended on it, because my life really did depend on it then. You know, and man, I haven't used heroin since 2016. That was 2016. And I've been clean of heroin to this day since 2016.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was a real big deal. I moved out there, man. um, I got into this Freeman house. The lady that actually taught one of the classes at this Blue Walters program at this jail, I told her that I didn't want to go back to the environment I lived in. I told her it's too many triggers for me. I can't dodge them. I don't know how to face my triggers and be all right. You know, is there somewhere else I can go and start over fresh? She said, yeah. And she made I don't know what she did. She made some arrangements for some whatnot, and she got me into a free house in Monroe, Louisiana. And from there, my life changed for the better, man. That's where this era come in at. Yeah. So man, it's amazing, man. Now that you got me just thinking back on everything and looking at how it all played out, man. It's really amazing, man. God has really had shown favor on my life, man. And here I am today, man. That's when I met my wife, the beautiful woman I'm married to today. I met her when I went to Monroe. Shortly after I got there, I went there alone, man.
Yeah.
Met her. She was living in Dallas at the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she was living in Dallas at the time, man. I hadn't got my little self together. I had a few months in my pocket, you know. I'm starting to get my little confidence back, you know what I mean? So I got me
Yeah.
a nice job, you know, and I ain't gonna say it was a nice job. It was a job, but it wasn't nice.
Yeah. Job's a
But hey,
job.
you know, yeah, but you know, I had to do what I had to do, man. I was willing to be all right with doing what I had to do. You know, I was okay with that. You know what I'm saying? You know,
Mm.
I know nothing worth having comes easy. You got to work for it, man. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I've been given so much as it is, bro. You know what I'm saying? You know, it was time that I worked for the things that I really wanted in my life, man. And that's when this journey started, you know. So that's how we ended up getting here today. So yeah,
That's great. It's great.
yeah.
You're a good storyteller.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't have to do too much today. You guided yourself along the map, so to speak.
Yeah, okay. That's what's up then, man. That's what's up. What's up?
So, is there anything else you want to add to anyone that might be listening? Maybe any advice, anything as far as your experience, anything you would tell a listener?
Yes. As a matter of fact, man, I have a group on Facebook, Born to Succeed. Um, I want to tell any and everybody, man, it's never too late, bro. It's never too late. Here it is. I'm 43 years old. I just graduated from HVAC school. I haven't been on this new company job a year. And here it is. I have over $6,000 worth of tools in my front room that came in today for me.
Yeah,
It ain't never too late, man. It's
before we
never.
started this, you were smiling about it, showed me all your tools.
Yeah. I mean, you want me to shoot it again?
Sure, if you want to.
I mean, you know, when it's like this, I mean, you know, you want to just show somebody, man.
Yeah, there you go. Now you can show everyone watching. But this shows you what you can do when you're
That's right.
sober.
That's right. I mean, and the first things first, man, you got to take care of yourself, man. You got to love yourself. A lot of people don't know how to love I didn't know how to love myself,
Yeah, the
man.
camera's still turned around. You got to turn it back.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me get him back right.
There you
Okay.
go. There you are.
But yeah, the first things first, you got to love yourself, man. You know, and if you don't know how to love yourself, man, do what it takes to figure out, to get the knowledge. Google tell you everything today. You know, I'm Google is one of my big resources, one of my biggest resources. I go to Google about everything. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And man, I apply myself, but it's never too late. It's never too late. It's never too late to do better for yourself. It's never too late to change. It's never too late to make a decision that's going to best fit you, suit you, do what's best for you. Save your life. You know, save your life. It's gonna feel good when you do it. In the beginning, it's gonna be rough. You're not gonna want to. It's gonna get boring. You understand what I'm saying? It's gonna get aggravating. People are not gonna trust you for a long time. You can't focus and worry about that. Overlook it. Overlook it. Trust yourself. Just focus on trusting yourself and doing what self gotta do for self. And the rest gonna be the sky. It's gotta limit that.
Yeah, I
That's
think
all I'm saying.
that's a great It's a great way to end it. Because the
Yeah.
one thing, you know, you're talking about loving yourself and all that. Part of we have what we call the 4 pillars of Addicts Anonymous. And the first one, because
Yeah.
4 pillars is what you build upon, but the first one is self-love. Like if you
That's
can't
right.
love yourself, you're of no
That's
use
right.
to anyone else.
No use at all. At all, man. At all.
Yeah,
So that's very important. That's very important. And
yeah,
I didn't realize how important it was because I used to hear it and I always thought it was a outer appearance thing like fly kicks, fresh outfit, keep your hair
yeah,
cut. Oh, I love myself. I got my hair cut. I got polos on. Nah, bro. It's on a whole nother level, man. Love yourself who
yeah.
you on the inside. You know what I'm saying? Take care of yourself. So yeah.
All right, my friend. So that's where we're going to wrap it up. So for everyone listening, I thank you. And also some of our sales pitch, I call it, check us out on Facebook. You can go to our Facebook group and go to the events tab and you'll see that we do Zoom meetings daily. Check one out. Also give us a like and subscribe here if you like what you heard and saw. We're also on Twitter, Reddit, Pinterest, Instagram. So check us out under Addicts Anonymous. And the last thing is check out our brand new website, addicts-anonymous.com. So that's addicts-anonymous.com. There's plenty of resources and things to help you along the way of your journey of recovery. So until next time, folks.